Okay. Oh, there's one of our guides. This is Federico in Madrid. Every time I meet Federico, he's singing, and I just love the energy that comes to our tours. Okay, now, so this is the opportunity right now to review a Rick Steves style tour of Spain. And as I mentioned, we have short vacation time, so we got to use them smartly. And what we're going to do, I'm going to take you through this itinerary with the help of these images. We're going to start in Barcelona. I love the idea of going open jaws, not starting and ending in the same place, starting on one end of the country and flying out of the other end. No reason you shouldn't do that. You fly into Barcelona and out of Sevilla. We started, and these numbers here is how many nights you have in each stop. And we try to minimize the one-night stands and maximize the 2- and the 3-night stands so you feel situated. We'll start in Barcelona. We'll take the fast bus over to Madrid. And then we've got, no, we take the bullet train over the grid. Yeah, Spain's got this incredible new bullet train. And I just flew last year from Madrid to Barcelona, and it occurred to me, you know, it would have been faster to take the train. I love these bullet trains they have, the AVE in Spain. So after an orientation in Barcelona, the capital of Catalonia, we go to Madrid, loop around to see Segovia and Toledo, head through La Mancha to Andalusia, Granada with its great Moorish palace, down to Ronda, the whitewashed hill town, Arcos de la Frontera, my favorite whitewashed hill town, and finish in Sevilla, really the capital of southern Spain in so many ways. Now, when we think about Barcelona, we got to remember Barcelona is an industrial powerhouse. This is Catalonia, and in Franco's time, people couldn't even speak Catalonian language, and now with the European Union and regions not threatening nations so much, there is a real resurgence of pride and language and so on, and the Catalonians are really, really waving their flag with gusto. They're teaching their kids Catalonian. There's more people speaking Catalonian now than one generation ago. And you will see Barcelona is sort of a southern Paris in a lot of ways for its love of life, its beautiful architecture, and so on. When we go to Barcelona, you've got the dark Gothic quarter, and you've got the bright Eixample, broad boulevards and fancy Art Nouveau and modernista buildings. Spain has a very good infrastructure, and when you fly into Barcelona, you don't need a taxi. Every 10 minutes there's a $5 bus trip that'll take you right downtown, right to Plaza Catalunya, and from there you can walk to most of the good hotels in town. Of course, when you take one of our tours, you'll have clear instructions on how to get to the first hotel. Your guide will be waiting for you that evening, and the group has an orientation talk at 5 o'clock or so on the first evening. That's when you meet your guide. We have introductions, sort of the parameters and the rules are set. We run a tight ship. We insist on punctuality. We are really engaging people to be well-organized, self-sufficient, getting out of their comfort zone, and the guide is there to be your teacher. It's the best education you can imagine, and your guide will meet you that first night and orient you, and then take you out on an orientation walk, and you are really off and running. In Madrid, you can take the subway anywhere, and then you kind of emerge, and you're in the middle of this incredible energy. Here we are at Plaza Catalunya at the top of the Ramblas. And from here, it's a gentle stroll down one of the great boulevards of Europe. And then just to the parallel street is another equally energetic pedestrian boulevard, and you realize this city is really well designed for people. The Ramblas goes all the way down to the harbor, and they've even extended it out into the harbor. And after the Olympics a while ago, they renovated they revitalized this whole rundown industrial zone, and now it's quite impressive. All over Europe, you'll find that old rundown industrial zones have been fixed up and now are bursting with energy, and that's a fun dimension of what you're going to see in your travels. As I mentioned, during Franco's time, during the dictatorship in Spain, you could get locked up if you danced the sardana dance, or taught your kids to speak Catalonian, or even waved the Catalonian flag. Recently, I was talking to a friend in Barcelona. I said, now you guys are a region of Spain. He said, no, we're not a region of Spain. That implies we're part of Spain. We are a nation without a state. And don't forget it. So we're going to be, and you know, Francisco is from a nation without a state too, Basque country. Now when you go to an ATM machine in Barcelona, it's going to have Francisco's language, Basque. It's going to have Catalonian on the language buttons. It's going to have Galician for the people of Northwest Spain, and it's going to have Castilian for the rest of the Spanish. And then you'll have German, French, English, and everybody else. Okay? But there's this wonderful complexity that we're going to learn, and I'm glad we're starting off in Catalunya, and we might be there on a Sunday in front of the cathedral with all the people as they do their precious sardana dance. One thing very near and dear to the heart of the Catalonian people is their tapas, and we have all sorts of great, all over Spain, of course, tapas. For a lot of Americans, eating in Spain is a little bit awkward because it's late. You'll have lunch at 2 and dinner at 10. If you want to have an earlier dinner or lunch, you eat tapas in the tapas bars. It's easy. A few of those plates, it's a very good experience. It's not very expensive. And you have had a chance to eat at an hour where you're more comfortable eating. Of course, with your tour guide, you'll be going to some good restaurants, but you do have free meals, and it's very easy, low stress to eat in the tapas bars. Just eat anything interesting on a toothpick in some of these bars, and they just add up the toothpicks, and you pay for it before you leave. It's quite nice. Remember, on our tours, all the breakfasts are included, none of the lunches, and half of the dinners. Your guide will organize that the best for you. With your guides, this is another of our guides, Carlos, you will learn every little intimate detail about how to eat your way through that beautiful culture. I just love the ambience of being outdoors, having a nice meal in Spain. And when you do go and buy a drink, often you get a little tapa for free. Your guide will give you tips on that. Ooh, pimiento de padrón.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, pimiento de padrón is really a Basque specialty, isn't it?
It's more from Galicia.
Yeah. Galicia. Okay, so the northwest of Spain. But you'll find it all over Spain. And my trick would be just to find your favorite tapa and look for it in every bar. And when I'm with both of these guys, I'm looking for a pimiento de padrón. Jorge, what's the funny thing about the pimiento de padrón?
Let me say in Spanish, well, Galician, unos pican, otros non. That means some are just regular peppers, some of them can blow your brains out. Even harder than the hottest of the jalapenos. I have to tell you, I had it once, one of those. I wanted to die.
It's like Spanish roulette. One of those peppers is very, very hot.
Look at that.
This is the market, La Boqueria, and every town has a very thriving market, and I just love connecting with the people, and a good way to do that is in the market. Anybody can wander through a market, but to wander through the market with Francisco or Jorge, there you know you're going to go right here and learn about octopus. You're going to go right here and learn about olive oil. You're going to go right here and learn about a tortilla español. You're going to go right here and learn the dynamics and the history and the culture of that market. It really, really makes the experience much richer. And also, you guys probably know Juan, and you'll be visiting Juan, and he's a character. And here you got a nice Catalonian friend serving your coffee. A lot of our friends have been in the book for years, so they know us when we come and they take good care of us. That's one advantage I have in the tour program is we're sending them a lot of business with our book. And I don't have any sort of kickback or arrangement like that in the books, but one where we do get a little favor is they take good care of us when we come with one of our tour groups because they want to earn a nice spot and a favorable approach sort of in the guidebook. So that all works very well, and it helps us really weather any little ripples as we're traveling quite well. Now, when you go to Barcelona, of course, you got Gaudí, Antonio Gaudí and the Modernist movement. We love Art Nouveau all over Europe. In Catalonia, you've got this pride of architecture from around, about 120 years ago. Modernisme. You can go out to the park. You can see the beautiful, melting ice cream kind of eaves of Antonio Gaudí. And my favorite building in so many ways is Sagrada Familia, the incredible church that Antonio Gaudí designed and was working on until he died, and they've been working on it for 100 years since, and if there's any building I want to see finished in Europe, it's this one, and it's actually now consecrated, and they're having mass in there, and they've got the roof over the top, and it is a spectacular example of a community dedicating literally generations of hard work into a cathedral that it will be proud of. You'll be able to see that with your guide. You'll see it in a first-class way. Barcelona, it's an exciting place. You're going to then take the bullet train to Madrid, you're going to meet your bus, you're going to go up to Segovia. And Segovia is famous for sort of some historical icons. You got a Roman aqueduct, which is quite amazing, and it's a reminder that the Roman Empire controlled Spain 2,000 years ago, and it's crummy to be beat by the Romans, but when you're beat by the Romans, you're on the winning team now. You got stability, and you got the Roman Army Corps of Engineers coming in to bring you an aqueduct, and you no longer have to carry water. You've got a, so, there's some good things about stability and running water 2,000 years ago, and you're gonna get a good look at that at the aqueduct from ancient Rome in Segovia. Whenever you see something really pointy like this, you can pretty much predict that is a renovation from the late 19th century, over the top, kind of fanciful, neo-medieval, neo-Gothic. There's a great castle in Segovia, and it was burned down, and they rebuilt it in a neo-Gothic way, and it's a beautiful chance to check out a castle in Spain. But my favorite thing about these towns like Segovia or whatever is the paseo. People are out strolling, especially when the sun goes down, it gets a little cooler. Everybody's out enjoying the scene, and we are too. Your guides know what the specialties are in each region, and when you are in this region, cochinillo asado. Is that the word?
Yeah.
And Francisco, tell us about cochinillo asado.
Well, this is exactly pig. I love going to this restaurant with Americans because you freak out.
So, wait a sec, suckling pig. What exactly does that mean?
It is a baby pig roasted, and it's with the legs, with the head, and everything. So all the Americans are like, "Oh my God!" You know, one of the philosophies of the company is putting you a little bit on the edge. That is one of the edge plates. I love it. It's very good.
Very tender because it's eaten nothing but its mother's milk.
God, if you sell it that way.
We filmed this, and then the movie Babe came out, and and we couldn't use it in our TV show. But you're going to eat a roast suckling pig, all right. And I just love the family time, the conviviality, the social time in our groups. Again, the way we promote our tours attracts a kind of gang that you enjoy hanging out with. We can't advertise that really, but think about it. You got to eat with these people. You got to share a bus with them. You got to stand with them in the museums. And we have really fun people that travel with us. One of my favorite times, my vacation is taking one of these tours, not because I've never seen this or that, but to a great extent, I just enjoy a chance to hang out with beautiful people on our tours, and we have a lot of fun. So if you like that dimension of it, you're going to have a small group of really positive, fun-loving people as your tour members, and your guides will help facilitate that so you have a lot of fun on the downtime during the tours. Now, I show this shot here to remind you of the reality of travel. Every couple of days, you got to load up and change locations. You check out of the hotel, you drag your bag over to the bus, you put it underneath, then you sit in the bus for a few hours. We're mobile, we're in good walking shape, we're packing light, and we're self-sufficient. So we need to be that way. And 25 of us travel as efficiently as a small group in a station wagon if the guide is on ball and the group is paying attention. And that's what we really expect of our travelers. You've got a bus with plenty of room underneath. You stow your big bag underneath, and you take your little bag upstairs, and it works out quite nicely. Here's an example of the kind of buses we have, and your bus driver will be waiting there. Stow the big bags downstairs. You got your little bags up top. The bus drivers that we have are just wonderful. They know the score. They know they're being paid up front. They know they're not getting tipped. They know the kind of travel we do, and so many times they park the bus and join the group. A lot of times, a lot of tour companies require that the driver and the bus and the guide eat apart from the group. And we have just the opposite situation. Our drivers and our guides eat with the group. It's a real bonus, an extra dimension to the social sort of fabric of our group. Big buses, comfortable modern buses, fun-loving travelers, and lots of room to stretch out. When you travel around Spain, you're going to find so much history. And I don't know about you, but I've got like a European history degree, but for me, so much of my studies stopped at the Pyrenees Mountains, and Spain sort of gets cut off. And when you go there, we're all going to be steep on the learning curve, and we're going to learn about El Escorial. We're going to learn about the Counter-Reformation. We're going to learn about, Ferdinand and Isabella. And it's amazing to think that this was the most powerful country in the world for a long time, and a huge, fascinating history. This is El Escorial, the home of the Inquisition, the powerhouse center of the Counter-Reformation, and we're going to go there and tour this place and understand the importance of Spain. I like to be settled in Madrid, the capital, the modern capital of Spain, and to have a hotel right downtown. On my last visit, this was our view out the window of the hotel to Puerto del Sol, and all of these cities have good public transportation, and you will learn that from your guide, how to use that. A short walk from your hotel is the Royal Palace in Madrid. I would say this is the second or third most impressive palace in Europe after Versailles in Paris, in so many ways inspired by Versailles, and you got this competition. Spain, Paris, and Vienna, the three great capitals on the mainland, and you can see their palaces vying for competition. Which divine monarch can live the most divinely on earth? So you'll go through there, and with the help of your guide, you're going to understand the symbolism of those lions and where the tapestries came from and so on. Then we walk across town with good guidance, and we go to the greatest collection of paintings anywhere in Europe. And I can say that for sure. The greatest collection of paintings anywhere in Europe, and that is the Prado. Why do they have all these great paintings in Spain? Well, the Spanish king was the most powerful guy in Europe for a long, long time, and he had a taste for art. All the best a lot of the best art from Germany, from Netherlands, back when the Netherlands were the Spanish Netherlands, ends up down in Madrid. So if you like art, you're going to go to the Prado, and I'll tell you, from Velázquez to Bosch to Goya, you've got all sorts of great art, and then you you can go see Picasso's Guernica as well. A lot of great art to see, and a lot of powerful political art. This is Goya, who witnessed, the advent of the Napoleonic age and the first mass armies and the mass killings of nationalist movements. Nationalism in the 19th century, you're going to get a dose of that while you're in Spain. Of course, the piece of art of Europe in the last century has got to be Guernica, Picasso's memorial to the horrible collateral damage as Hitler and Franco did the first aerial bombardment on the Basque town of Guernica in the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s. And Picasso was so appalled at this that he stopped what he was doing and he put this beautiful painting, this collage together. And today you can see that in almost a religious, respectful spot in the museum in Madrid. With good guidance, you'll understand the importance of Guernica and why it is even more than just a great piece of art. Lots of slices of Spanish culture. You won't be able to do them all with your tour, but with your guide, you will either do it included, or if you really want to do it on your own, you can. There's the whole bullfight sort of culture, and it's happening whether we like it or not. We don't endorse it or support it, but it's a legitimate part of Spanish culture, and if you want to go to a bullfight, you certainly can. If you'd rather just go to a bull bar, that's an easy way to do it. Just like we have sports bars here where you're going to see the Seahawks, well there you go to the bull bar and you've got the bullfight on the TV. You got poor Ferdinand here and you got the knife that killed him and how much he weighed and where he died and why he was a great bull and you've got photographs of people, all these photographs of incredible gorings, and then you've got a bullfight aficionado that can serve you beer and tell you stories. There's all sorts of fun you can have in Spain. In fact, if you really want to eat a slice of bull tail, what do we call that?
It's delicious.
Delicious. Jorge, what's the name of it?
It has to be well cooked, okay? But if it is well cooked, it's one of the best things you can ever eat. Rabo de toro.
Rabo de toro.
Yeah.
It's not the only part of the bull we eat. Let's leave it there.
Leave it there. Yeah, the bull tail is expensive. I would suppose there are even more expensive parts.
Smaller parts, yeah.
The bull tail is very rich, and it's quite expensive actually, but it's fun when you get 4 or 5 people together to order a plate, and everybody gets to sample a little bit. And Francisco and Jorge can make sure that you know what you've eaten after you've eaten it.
But of course.
That's a tour guide trick. And to go into a tapas bar, these are a couple more of our guides. It is so helpful to have somebody holding your hand as you eat your way through that culture. And I, frankly, cannot get enough of the tapas scene when I am in Spain. We write it up in our books. You've got the information in the book to enjoy your free time expertly, I would say, because I've had the help of these guys to write that and put it together. Okay, from Madrid, you go down 1 hour south to Toledo. Madrid is the modern political capital. Toledo is the historic, artistic, and spiritual capital of Spain. It couldn't be the modern capital because it's lassoed in a very tight bend in the river, so it's got that perfect sort of natural fortification. A hairpin bend and then a wall at the bottom, and you got a beautiful fortification. But if you want a bigger city, it's just there's no room to grow, right? So it's sort of mothballed, it's perfectly preserved, and it is packed with history and romance and mystique. And we stay in Toledo, and we love Toledo, and you'll be able to get to really know this beautiful tangle of Spanish history. When you go through Toledo, you're going to find a magnificent cathedral. The sacristy in that cathedral has enough art to put it on the map if it was just a museum itself. You can see El Greco's in the town of El Greco. I just love the work of El Greco, much of it beautifully restored. Then when we go south from Toledo, we get into La Mancha country. And what does La Mancha mean in Arabic?
Is the land of patched, different colors, patched lands.
Patched lands.
Yeah,
and when we go through this vast patched land, and it's so desolate, and you've got the windmills and the ruined castles and memories of Don Quixote, and it's just a fascinating place to check. And then we might want to stop and take a nice photograph of a huge bull. I mean, there's giant bulls in the countryside.
We can tell that's a boy bull, yeah.
This is a boy bull, and you've got a boy tour guide right there. And a film crew. All right. And then we get to Granada. And Granada is, there's 3 great cities in southern Spain: Granada, Cordoba, and Sevilla. And I think Sevilla is the greatest, and you'll spend the most time there. But Granada is a must-see because of the history. You've got the Alhambra, which is the last Moorish palace. You know, the Moors came in 711. They went as far as France, and then for centuries, Europe was united in pushing the Muslims out of Europe. It was called the Reconquista. And every generation, they'd push them doggedly farther and farther south. The very last stronghold was here in Granada, where they had this sumptuous palace. It's complicated to see the palace. People wait in a line for hours. Of course, with our tour, you will have a reservation, and with your guide, you will walk right in, and you'll have expert treatment. So you walk out of that Alhambra refreshed and inspired, knowing you've seen one of the great sites in all of Europe without spending hours and hours in line. This is the Alhambra here, and then all of this area over here would be the Albayzín, and wandering through the Alhambra, it's just a gorgeous place. Looking across at the Albayzín, you see a little whiff of Arabia there. This is sort of, you walk through there and you feel like you're in Marrakesh or something. And there are souks, and there's lots of Muslim immigrants in Spain now. As a matter of fact, the first mosque built in Europe in centuries was built in Granada. They have a new mosque right there. Beautiful, colorful marketplaces. Here's the women's entrance to the mosque there, and you can learn about the dynamics of Europe as it deals with its immigration challenges, just like the United States is dealing with very important immigration challenges. All over the world, rich countries have poor countries to the south. Rich countries don't want their kids doing the scut work, so you let the people from the south come in and do it at very poor wages, and that's with our Mexican immigration situation, and that's with Europe and people from Northern Africa. We have to be honest about that. You know, we don't want to clean the toilets, and somebody else wants to work hard, and they're desperate, and they come up. Europe has that dynamic going on, and we're going to not have a trip through La La Land. We're going to have a trip through reality, and your guides are going to let you understand how that can be worked through and how we can all learn from each other. A great Columbus heritage in Granada, and Columbus getting the marching orders from the Queen. You've got a gypsy community, Sacramante, and you can see some flamenco dancing, wonderful music, wonderful street restaurants, and a wonderful culture where when you order a drink, you get a little tapa with it. And with the help of your guide for your lunch, you can just order a glass of wine for $2 and have a couple of little snacks like that and almost call it a meal if you like to. The sunset goes down, and this is a beautiful viewpoint of the magnificent Alhambra as the lights come on. And then we go down to the Costa del Sol. This tour does not spend a lot of time on the Costa del Sol, but you get a good look at it as you work your way over to the route of the Pueblos Blancos, the route of the whitewashed hill towns in the mountains south of Sevilla. And our favorite stops are Ronda, a wonderful city, and Arcos de la Frontera. If a town is de la Frontera, that means on the frontier, as the Christians were pushing the Moors down. They would take this new territory, they would knock down the mosque, they'd build a church, and they'd name it something like Saint James de la Frontera, instead of whatever the Moorish name was, you see. And in this case, it's Arcos de la Frontera. And beautiful, beautiful spot to enjoy that. We've been bringing groups here so long that one of the hotels is named a room after me. The Rick Steves Periodista Turístico. Have you seen that room?
Touristic reporter?
That's what they call me.
Are you a touristic reporter?
I'm a touristic journalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but you know, they're very officious down there, and they really like to roll out the red carpet when we come in, and that comes with a nice balcony and a nice view in a town that says only we can see the backs of the birds as they fly. You see, they look down and see that, and it's just a beautiful perch. And I got to show you a picture of the Rick Steves Periodistico, journalista room there, okay. But the rooms on the tours are, you know, they're just basic like this, but they're right downtown, and you really feel that you're part of the scene, and that's what we like. This is good enough for our travelers, and this needs to be good enough for you. You almost always have a private toilet and a shower. You'll generally have air conditioning. You won't always have an elevator. You will have friendly staff, a safe, quiet, clean location, efficiency, you're right there. Even if it means walking in from the nearest place the bus can go, you're right there where you want to be. Maybe with a view of the sea out your window. And you know just where to go to find a cloistered nun who's cooking little cupcakes and who would love to sell them to you, okay? All over Spain, you've got that nun cuisine. You got people with very proud courtyards that decorate them for people to wander through and see. And this would be an example of a subtlety that your guide will take you on a walk before dinner, just to look at people's proud courtyards. And this would be in Arcos, or this could, where might this be, Jorge?
That happens in Sevilla and in Cordoba. Actually, in May, there is a huge competition about who's going to have the prettiest patio in the houses, where the flowers are blooming, and there are open places that you can go in and have a look. I mean, without hesitation, just go in, and actually, breathtaking, most of them.
I just love seeing these courtyards like this. And you can have some characteristic places to have a meal. One of the great things about Spain is meeting the local people, connecting with the culture. We're going to see the great museums and the great palaces and so on, but what's going to distinguish your trip is you're going to become a temporary Spaniard. If you see 4 cute guys sitting on a bench, you're going to ask them to scoot over. Like that. And it works. You guys know where this is? Arcos. And every time I come into Arcos, I see this guy, and he's a sort of semi-retired old guy that's watching all the traffic. You know, that's his job, and he always recognizes me, and we sit down and we just watch everybody stroll by. Sevilla. I just love Sevilla. There's a huge mosque there, and when the Christians came back in, they tore down the mosque and they built a church right on that spot, of course, but they kept the mosque's tower and turned it into a Christian bell tower. In fact, you've got a lot of history in this town that goes back. The tomb of Columbus, a good example of all the wealth that came into Spain from the age of exploration, and a beautiful treasury in the church or the cathedral there. That's a carved pearl there. It's just quite amazing.
Yep.
And with your guide, you'll find these exquisite little details of Spanish culture, when Spain was the richest country on the face of the planet. The Alcazar is the old Moorish palace that's got all sorts of beautiful architecture and art. Now, good as Jorge and Francisco are, we love to hire local guides who really are passionate about their town. So Francisco or Jorge will say, and now I'd like you to meet Concepcion. And Concepcion will take you around, and she is a Sevillan who's very proud of the Weeping Virgin. And she'll take you to that monastery, and you see this incredible statue that's taken out and paraded through the streets every year on Semana Santa. And she'll take you shopping for a flamenco dress, and she'll tell you what the latest fashions are in flamenco wear, and so on. It's so much fun to have a local guide to let us have a more intimate look at what's going on in this or that country. So here we have Concepcion, and I was lucky to be there during one spring fair, and went out to the fairgrounds and had a wonderful time going into the casetas and dancing and partying with all of the Spanish people that we made friends with. We do not base our trips around festivals, but in a place like Spain, there's festivals bursting out all over the place. Your guide will know where they are. Now, not everybody wants to go out after dinner to check out a festival on the other side of the river, but those who want to, your guide is enthusiastic about that. And at dinner, he'll tell you, in 45 minutes, I'll meet you in the lobby, and we're going to go across the river. I've heard there's something fun going on, and we're going to have a little adventure. You can go there safely. You can go there confident that you will have a local expert to take care of you and make sure you have the right experience. All over Spain, there's that traditional culture busting out, especially late at night. You can pay to see flamenco on a stage, or if you're out late, you can just walk into the right bar and be swept up in spontaneous flamenco fun. This is the Virgin de la Macarena, and this is the Weeping Virgin. It's one of the most beautiful experiences in Spain to go there with a local person who can tell you how important the Weeping Virgin is to the people of Sevilla. And they go on these incredible floats through the city. And before the Semana Santa, you see the kids all competing and practicing to be carrying the float. And they'll be carrying bed springs around the town. You know, 6 kids carrying a bed spring with a coach, like Cub Scouts learning this. And then on the big day, they carry their actual thing through the town. Again, festivals all over the time. I don't know what festival this was, but it was in Cordoba, and these kids had decorated a little box, and you stick a coin in there, and it's just part of the whole scene. You can go across the river. In the United States, we go across the tracks, you know, for the rusty side of town. In Europe, a lot of times it's across the river. So in Sevilla, it would be Triana, yeah, for the more crusty, artisan, colorful part of town. And that would be all the tourists are over here, but we go on this side and have some fresh seafood, and then with your guide, you take a little walk into the back sides. This is one of my favorite places to take a group, on a rooftop, in a seafood restaurant in, is it Triana?
Triana.
All right.
Betis.
So there we go. We started in Barcelona, and then we take the fast train to Madrid, meet our bus, loop up to Segovia, check out Toledo, through La Mancha, Granada, Ronda, Arcos, and finishing in Sevilla. And from there, if you have more time, you could spend some more time going into Morocco or over to Portugal, or you could fly home. I have talked enough. I would like to, we're going to have Q&A in just a minute, but I'd like it if Jorge could just take the mic and talk a little bit about anything that you'd like to make more clear from what I just talked about there. Thanks.
Well, what can I add to what you said, Rick? Listen, guys, as he said before in Granada, in the Moorish neighborhood, get lost in there. There will be a time that if you just go around the corner, you'll feel that you're not in Spain, that you're not in Morocco, that you are somewhere else. That's a big experience. Same happens as well in Sevilla, in the Barrio de Santa Cruz. It's supposed to be the huge and largest Jewish neighborhood remaining in Western Europe. No Jewish community now there, but it's an historical site. It's World Heritage by UNESCO. I have to tell you that Spain is the country in the world with the most UNESCO sites. So that means also something. And you are visiting many of those. In Barcelona, the Sagrada Familia. You also have another thing that you can do it in your extra time, which I highly recommend, which is the Palau de la Música. You probably heard of it. Also in Madrid, you have the Royal Palace, which is the largest in Europe, 2,800 rooms. Rick, for the next tour, you might phone to see if they have some room for us in that one, no? 2,800
rooms. We don't tour all of them, thank goodness.
Granada, the Alhambra. That's something that you must do. If you are there, it's probably your only chance in your lifetime. You have to visit the Alhambra. The route of the whitewashed villages, as you said, also is a beautiful experience to go on the road and suddenly on the side of a mountain to find that white village there almost hanging, overhanging the mountain. And then Sevilla. What can I say about Sevilla? You know, it's fantastic. But I'm pretty sure that most of you are going to be there and you're going to experience that.
Thanks,
right.
Jorge.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Francisco, you know, this is we've worked on this itinerary so long, and if you have 2 weeks and you want the best of Spain, I'm very, very happy with this itinerary. Of course, there's lots more, but this would be, you know, you've seen the critical highlights of Spain with this, and you'll have an appetite to go back for more, I'm sure, after that. Francisco, anything to add to the talk or you'd like to share?
Well, one of the good things about Spain, as you were saying, the public transportation is fantastic. So if you take some time after a tour and you stay in Madrid, Barcelona, or whatever, you can go almost everywhere in Spain. We have the bullet train that is very comfortable, very easy to get. In this tour, we go from Barcelona to Madrid by the bullet train, so you will learn how to take that train. So you're going to be very confident to do it by yourself. So one of the good things about Spain is that you do the tour, and then a lot of people stay like for another extra week, and you can go to the coast, you can go to the north, you can come to my hometown, Pamplona. We'll talk about
Pamplona.
Later.
Francisco lives right there.
Right there.
Right there.
Almost not there.
Francisco, to take the AVE from Sevilla to Madrid, about how long does that take on the train?
2 hours and a half.
2.5 hours. When I was a kid traveling in Spain, this was like a 10-hour journey by train from Madrid.
It was one day.
Yeah.
It would take
and now
1 day.
2.5 hours. It's almost like a day trip if you wanted to. You could take the train from Madrid to Sevilla and then actually back, and it's about 2.5 or 3 hours from Madrid to Barcelona also. So they're investing in that infrastructure.
Yeah. We need that.
All right. Thank you, Francisco. We have time for a few questions before we break and make room for the next group. Is there any questions about anything with our guides? Yeah.
Season to travel. We're looking at your schedule and probably wanting to go that first week of October. What's the weather like there?
So the season to travel, Spain, like Southern California, like Italy, is going to be really hot in the summer. Very hot in the summer. Not that you can't go there. I've been there many times in the summer, and we do tours through the summer, and it's packed with young students traveling and so on. But April and May and September, October, those are the best times. That's when we put the most departures out. And if you go in the spring or the fall, from a climate point of view, it's the same. It's the curve would be like, or the crowd curves would be like that. It peaks in the spring, it peaks in the fall. Does that answer your question?
Do they all fill in the fall? I noticed that when I look on there, there's no wait listing for October. I'm just wondering, do some of those not fill?
You know, if they don't fill, we have to cancel them, but we don't cancel them close. We cancel them way out. We know from our experience what's going to fill, and we have them open now. Pretty confident that they're going to fill. The big question is, do we add more? Because we are adding more rather than canceling. But because of the nature of our tour company, we've only got 25 people on a group or so, so we do need to go pretty much full. If you have a 50-person tour, you know, the downside is you're going everywhere with 50 people. The upside is they can go half full and still be able to go. But we've had such good experience in Spain. It's the hottest after, you know, Italy has long been the best seller, but Spain is picking up, and I think you can be confident if we've put them there. We've got a lot of tours, they're called shadow tours, and we put them, they're already booked and everything, but we don't advertise them until the ones we've made public are full and are going to go. So you're good with that. Yes?
I was hoping maybe you could talk a little bit about traveling with families in Spain, and whether your tours are a good way to do that, or...
Traveling with families in Spain. I don't think we have do we have a family tour for Spain? I don't think so. Have you had children and families on your tours?
Yes.
What has that been like, Jorge?
Well, it's as safe as if you're walking around here in Edmonds or wherever you live. You know, it's just trust your tour guide whenever you go, and I'm pretty sure it's going to take you to safe places. All of them are saved. Sorry, but I mean, if you want to understand the question about it, what is the point of the question? I mean, safety, is that the one?
Not so much. I mean,
Just is it good for kids and so on? Yeah.
Well,
You know.
there's a lot of activities to do with kids, or that they are compatible with for the whole family, right? Just going to museums, much even better. I mean, the bigger the group is in the family, the more discount you can get to get into the places.
I would
So
say
it's an
the thing
advantage.
about, we don't make concessions for families on our adult tours. You know, these are adult tours, and we've been doing this for 30 years, and I've been always an advocate for letting families go with their children on adult tours, as long as the adults know this is not a kids tour. And the kids are welcome, and historically it's been a real plus, because I like the, you know, all generations on the tour together. It's a small group, so the guides are able to be sure that the kids are comfortable and the parents know what the options are with their free time and so on. We took our kids on tour every year, right from they were 4 years old until on up, and I just thought it was a lot of fun. If you can afford to take your kids on a tour, this is a comfortable way. The buses are big, so generally the kids take over the back of the bus, and occasionally we have to say, keep it down back there, you know, but that's where the kids are having fun. And once you get set up, a beautiful thing about these towns is, as a parent, you feel comfortable with kids out and about in a place like Toledo, or, you know, or Ronda or something like that, or Granada. So we do have tours specifically designed for kids and families that have two guides, one lead guide and one assistant guide who takes care of the kids' activities. And then those itineraries are tailored to family interests. This one, not specifically, but we've had a lot of kids that take it and it works fine. Any other questions? Yes?
When traveling in Spain, a person has an interest in using specific guides in cities. Do your travel consultants assist with that endeavor?
You mean you might have a guide that you know about in
For example, if you're using your guidebooks,
Right.
tools, will your consulting services help arrange for guides in specific cities, for example, in Spain?
Sure. That's what we do, but you know, in the old days that was more of an issue, but today any guide who's trying to earn a living taking groups around their hometown, like Concepcion, she's scrambling just to keep herself fully employed. You know, it's tough in Spain. The economy's not very good, and people are hungry and they want to work, and they've all got email addresses, they've all got competitive prices, not all of them are good, and you can email them and make an appointment, and it's pretty straightforward. And they'll meet you out. This is what I do. Whenever I spend 100 days a year in Europe, and probably 60 of those days I'm with a local private guide. I met Francisco because I needed a guide to take me from Pamplona over to Santiago de Compostela. I didn't even know him, and I booked him, and we spent 5 days together, and we had a good time. So, and now we've got a much better working relationship. But I'm over there testing out guides all the time, and some are great and others are just forgettable, but the great ones we try to get. But it's easy for you to book that, and you can do it through the book, you can do it on the internet, or we can help you. 2 more questions. Yes?
Has the money problem in like Spain and Greece, has that made it less expensive to travel, or how has it affected it?
Has the economic crisis made it less? Well, that's a good question. And let me just ask Jorge and Francisco. Of course, Americans look at Europe and they see instability. Greece is not selling very well because people look at the news and they see there's riots in the streets. I mean, I was just there and we got tours there, and you can overreact to the news to very easily. When one of the few words I know in Italian is sciopero, which is strike, and it's just this part of life. But it's a very reasonable concern. From your guys' point of view, how does the economic crisis? It'd be terrible to be a Spanish worker hoping to have a retirement, I would imagine. But just from an American visitor, how is it going to impact our travels on efficiency? And you can be really candid. You don't need to cover, paint it nicely. Efficiency, and also, is it cheaper because of the economic crisis?
Well, first of all, let me tell you that when you go into Spain, what you have to be very sure is what the money that you have in your pocket are Spanish euros. It's a joke. No, euros are euros.
I was worried there for a minute. I thought I missed some news.
No, actually, what can I say about this? I mean, life is going on in Spain. What you see on the media here is what sells. If you have demonstration, you get ahead where all the noise is, but the demonstration has a lot of people behind. That means that life is going on in Spain. Things are getting cheaper. It's not the point that things are getting cheaper. The thing is that people are in many cities getting the salaries much lower. That means that the prices are still the same. So what happens? Probably life is a bit harder now, but I'm very sure that we're going to struggle.
So that is interesting that wages are going down, but prices are staying the same. It's kind of with us too, I think, And I mean, something's going on here, and I don't want to get political, but it's happening on the other side of the Atlantic also. And that would be my, a lot of people go, oh, it's going to be cheap in Greece. It really is not. It's just people are really working hard, and it's tough times for workers there. I would not expect to be able to vulture in on this and travel cheaper because of the economic crisis. I feel really good about going over there to see reality, see countries struggling with the way they've misplanned things and learning to live within their means just like we are. But again, I don't think you're going to find lower prices. I just think you're going to find workers that are in a very tough state. Francisco?
Well, maybe you're a little bit concerned about demonstrations or something going on. I was with one of the Recessive tours last year. There was a demonstration in Bilbao. We had a ball. It was fantastic. I explained what was going on, what the guys were protesting. I said, can we join them? Sure, let's join them. Let's make a learning experience out of this. Demonstration is just people asking for something. So it's not a big deal. I mean, when you see the TV, you're like, but it's like one every 3 years. So it's not a difficult thing. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. And I was just in Greece, and as Jorge said, if it bleeds, it leads. That's what we say. They have to sell ads, they have to make it look sensational, and the cameras are going to zoom right in to make it look like everybody in Greece is going crazy, when in reality, most people are watching it on TV and just catching the bus the next morning to work. Any more questions? Do we have covered it all? Very nice. One more here. Yes?
I just wondered if you wandered around in Spain independently, any words of wisdom on personal safety?
If you wandered around Spain independently, any words of wisdom for personal safety? Anywhere in Europe, especially in Southern Europe, if there's a commotion, expect it's a fake commotion designed to cause jostling, distraction, confusing people, and pockets are being picked. I've been with many of my guide friends in Puerto del Sol, the main square, the Times Square of Spain, and something breaks out and there's a little scuffle. And I'm just like most boys. I wonder, what's happening there, What's happening there? Take my wallet. It's so, if an old lady falls down an escalator in the subway, my first reaction I've learned is to stand back, because she's probably part of a thief team and there's people getting pickpocketed. I don't think you're under any risk of violent crime there, especially when you consider how dangerous the United States is. I mean, it's amazing, our country. We lose 10 times as many people per capita to violence on our streets as Europeans do. They look at us and just think, well, they laugh when they hear Americans are staying home for safety reasons. I mean, if you understand the statistics and you care about your loved ones, you will sign up for a tour today. Now we're selling tours.